G'day. Today we're going to take a look at what you really need to get started overnight hiking. And it's less than what you think, so stay tuned. Walking into a hiking store and looking around at all the products and prices can be really scary. It can leave you thinking that a simple overnight hike is going to cost you thousands of dollars. Well, it doesn't have to. My first overnight hike cost me about $40. So I'm going to show you how you can get out there and overnight hiking for under, say, $100. Okay, so first things first, a backpack. Now my very first overnight hike, I used this. It's what most people call a day pack. It's cost me about $35, $40 from Kmart. I think it's 40 litre pack, so it's pretty small. Now a couple of things made this possible for me. So first of all, I was camping in summer, so I could pack light. Didn't need a tent, didn't need jumpers, didn't need long clothes, didn't need blankets, sleeping bag, any of that. The other thing was I was traveling with someone else, so we could split the food across two of these packs instead of the one. And I didn't even have a sleeping pad, so I just had an old yoga mat rolled up that I strapped onto the outside of this pack. So we did manage to fit everything we needed into a couple of these packs. And it's quite surprising because I did pack in and out a lot of heavy gear, big stuff that I just did not need. So for a start, I took a lantern, like a big lantern with the 4D size batteries. I mean, who takes a lantern hiking, right? I also took a hatchet, like about this long. Why? I have no idea, because the only sticks that I used to burn to cook my food were small twigs. You could break them with your hand. But anyway, I had that as well, and a whole list of other stuff that you'll see as we go through. But yeah, if you camp at the right time and you pack the right pack light, then yeah, you can get away with a small backpack like this. Nowadays, I've upgraded to this, which is I think 90 or 100 litre pack. It's from Teton Sports. This is the Grand 5500. There's plenty of room in there. I mean, once you start carrying camera equipment and drones and things like that, you do start to fill up the pack a little bit more. Okay, so with our pack out of the way, you need something to cook on. Now, unless you take food that doesn't require any cooking, personally, I like a hot meal. I also love my morning coffee. So yeah, going without a heat source is not an option for me. Now, my first hike, did I go and buy a gas stove to take with me? No. Did I get one of these $100 twig stoves like this? I'll show you that soon. No. So what I took was a great big Milo tin, poked a lot of holes around the side, and sat this snake wire mesh on the top, and that was my grill. And for a billy, I just used an old coffee tin. Now, for those of you not in Australia, you don't know what a billy is, that's what we call a kettle, or a pot to boil your water in out in the bush. Anyway, so I had that. I cut a wire coat hanger, looped it around the top, threw a couple of holes in the top, and that was my handle for the billy. Did what I needed, fit inside the Milo tin to conserve space. It was, it done the job well. The other good thing about the snake wire mesh, so if you don't have your tin, you can always grab a couple of tent pegs, 4 tent pegs, dig them into the ground, and you can rest your mesh on that, light your fire underneath, and you can cook that way as well. Now, if you don't want to go the Milo tin option, or if you're camping somewhere where you can't have a fire, then you can pick up one of these little gas burners off eBay quite cheap. This is a BRS 3000, it's a titanium thing. I think it weighs about 18 grams, and they're between $12 and $20, depending on whether you buy the genuine product or the cheap knockoff. But yeah, just unfold the arms, and you will need some matches to light it. But that will just screw onto one of these gas cylinders. Now, these are about $8 from your camping store. Screw that on the top, and away you go, you can cook your meal. So next is cups and cutlery. Now, I didn't go out and buy the titanium stuff from the camping store. What I did was I just went into the local op shop, grabbed some cutlery. What I've done is I've drilled some holes in this to make it lighter. Now, did it work? Well, technically they are lighter. Did I notice it? Nah. But they do look lighter, right? That's the main thing. So they were about 50 cents each from the local op shop. Nowadays, again from the op shop, only $1 this time. But yeah, I got a knife, fork and spoon set that just go together quite nicely. Yeah, so toothbrush, toothpaste, things like that. Yeah, I've got a little Tupperware container that I use for those things. Inside there, got my toothbrush. Now, I have cut this down as well. That's not to save weight. That's just so that it fits nicely in my container. In this little container, I've also got a sponge. Got some few little containers that I picked up from the $2 store with the toothpaste in one. I've got some cinnamon for my breakfast in another one. Got dishwashing liquid in one. Olive oil in another. Got some matches, cigarette lighter, things like that. Now that was a little travel pack. I got all those containers in for about $3 from the cheap shop. But yeah, it keeps it in a Tupperware container, so it's all watertight and it keeps it all together. It's nice and handy to get in and out of your bag. So now a head torch. Now these are pretty cheap. You can pick these up at Bunnings, Big W, Woolworths, wherever. They're about $5. You can get more expensive ones, but a few AAA batteries in it, and away you go. Just make sure you carry a few spares. Now you can get rechargeable ones off eBay. They're a little bit dearer, a little bit brighter, but they're also a little bit heavier. So up to you what's best for you, really. The one thing I will say is grab a head torch and not a torch, because when you're sitting down eating your meal, or you want to do something with your hands, having that light on your head is far easier than having to hold a torch and try and do something one-handed. Now I'm not.
You got a light, buddy?
Yeah, sure, kid. There you go.
And your wallet.
Nick, give him your wallet.
What for?
He's got a knife.
That's not a knife. That's a knife.
My first overnight hike, I lugged this great big, heavy hunting knife in. Weighs an absolute ton. Now, it's great if you want to field dress a pig or something like that, but it's a little bit overkill, a little bit heavy, but that's all I had at the time. Nowadays, if I know I need a bushcraft knife, I've got my Elk Ridge. It's a little bit lighter and it's more fit for purpose, really. So I take that. If I don't need that, then I'll just take a little folding pocket knife that I got off eBay again. I think this was under $20, so nice and cheap, but gives you a sharp blade that you can cut your tomatoes for lunch, cut your cordage, simple tasks like that. You won't be batoning any wood with this, but it does the trick for that light work. So a shelter. Now, if you're traveling with a day pack or a smaller backpack, you may not have room to put a tent in, or you might just have to strap it to the outside. Now, those 2-man tents, $10 ones you see at Big W, yeah, they're all right. They're not really good in the rain. It's a tight squeeze for 2 people. It's even a tight squeeze for 1 person, but anyway, it will get you by. What I've been using up until recently is this T2 Ultralight Pro. That's been a really good tent. I picked that up for $20 off Gumtree. I've seen them for about 120 plus postage online, so you can still buy them. But the problem with that tent is it's really hot in summer, so there's no ventilation in it. Perfect tent for winter. You can sleep 2 people inside it in a pinch. You've got to be good friends, but yeah, you will fit. But yeah, it was just too hot, so I ended up upgrading to this Nature Hike Mongar 2. So it's a little bit bigger in size, but it's same weight, but yeah, more roomier inside. and it's got far more ventilation, so that thing you can set up without the fly as well and just have the fly screen tent up, which is really good in summer as long as it's not raining. But for my first overnight hike, I didn't even take a tent, so all I had was a mozzie net that I strung up between two trees with some rope, and that's the other thing, you don't need to go and buy paracord, just some cheap $1 roll of rope from the dollar store. That's all you need. So that's all I had. Strung that up between the trees, threw my yoga mat out. I did have a bed sheet, just a thin cotton one from home that I took with me, and yeah, strung this mosquito net up over the top of me to sleep under. It wasn't raining, so I didn't need a tarp. If you do need a tarp, you can pick them up pretty cheap. I might make another video later on different styles of tarp shelters that you can set up. As for footwear, well, I just wore my runners. Did me well on the hike that I was on. They weren't an issue. They're breathable, they're light, more importantly, they're comfortable. They're not waterproof, but what they really lack is the thickness in the sole. So when you're walking over rocks and tree roots and things like that, you will get sore feet eventually. Now I've upgraded to a pair of hiking boots, and they're far more comfortable to do long walks in. Now the hike I did, I knew that there were toilets along the way, so I didn't need to take a trowel with me. But these days I do travel with this. It's, what is it, 17 grams. It's called the Juice of Spades, made of titanium. So yeah, it takes up no room, adds no weight. Nice little handy addition if you need to dig yourself a hole to do your business in. Now as for water, I didn't have a water bladder in that pack. What I did have was these two military style water canteens. I just strapped that around my waist, filled those up, and that did me in between campgrounds. Nowadays I do have a water bladder in my backpack. I also have one of the canteens strapped to the side of the pack, and I take a couple of these containers with me too, so they can be folded up and stored in your pack, take up no room. And if you're traveling long distance between watering holes, or if you've got a campsite that you don't know whether there's water in that night and you've got to make it through the next day, I'll fill a few of these up and put those in my pack as well. It's just nice to know you've got that extra water if you need it. I did take some purification tablets with me on that hike as well. I do have some here. I'll go through that pouch a little bit later. But yeah, purification tablets as a minimum. You can boil your water as well if you need be. I've since upgraded a little bit, and I've got a few more water filtration options available to me now. So now I might show you what I've added to my kit as well since my first hike. So I take an enamel mug with me. Actually, I did take that on my first hike as well, but I'm still using it now. Fits inside my saucepan. And my saucepan, this actually used to belong to my grandmother. It's made of aluminium, so it's reasonably light. Handle comes off and attaches to the outside. I can fit a lot of stuff inside there as well to save space, but that's been working really well for me. I have tried one of the titanium cook pots, and I really don't recommend that on your gas burner. I haven't tried it on wood. Maybe they work well on a metho stove, but I just find that they really burn too quickly through the titanium. It transfers heat incredibly well. Now, I do have a titanium plate that doubles as a fry pan as well that you can cook in, and inside that I've just cut one of those chopping boards from the cheap shop so that I've got something to slice on and not damage my knife blade. And then to pick that up off the fire, I've just got these little grips which just attach like that. You can take it on and off the fire without burning your fingers. So I also have this folding saw, which I'll occasionally take if I know I've got to cut some firewood or clear a path. That works quite well. This one came from Bunnings. I think it was $25, something like that. You don't need to spend a lot. You can get some bigger and better ones, but that seems to do the job for me so far. Also now take a sleeping bag. Pick this one up from BCF on special. that does quite well, especially inside the tent. And if you're sleeping with thermals on, you'll find that this sleeping bag, which is a plus 10 degrees Celsius, will work fine even in far colder temperatures. Now, as I mentioned before, I've also got this twig stove. This is the Firebox stove. Works really well. Just unfold it and show you. So it just unfolds like that. Pop that down, throw your twigs in, and you can sit your pot on top. Also carry with me paracord these days instead of the rope. This just lasts a little bit longer and it's probably stronger as well. So yeah, I carry a hank of that in my backpack too. Also I take a inflatable pillow nowadays and my inflatable hiking mat. This is a Wanderer Ultralight. Picked that up from BCF on special as well. So I think this and the sleeping bag were about $80 each. So a little bit of money, but it's cheaper than what you could spend if you really paid top dollar. So another thing I take with me these days is this VanQuest gear bag. This is a little bit of a day organizer, really good for getting your stuff organized. But what we've got inside here is a number of things. So take some Hydrolite. When it's really hot and you're hiking, this can really save you, make you feel a lot better. I've also got my Sawyer Mini water filter. So there's a bag that comes with that. Screws on, and a really good water filtration device. Comes with a syringe as well and a little tube so that if you've got water in little nooks and crannies, you can suck it up, put it through into the bag, put it through the filter. And we've got water purification tablets in there as well. And what I also have is a Millbank bag. Now, if you've got a really dirty water source, a lot of mud, twigs, things like that, it'll block up your filter in no time. So fill this bag with water, hang it up to a tree, the water will trickle through, catch that in your saucepan, and then filter that through. So it won't get rid of any of the parasites or anything like that, but it will get rid of the mud and the twigs and the sticks and things like that. So that just fits in the back there like that, along with the tablet, the bag. So in here I've also got a fire steel, in case the lighter ever gets wet, runs out of gas, whatever. Little multi-tool, which can come in handy if you've got to repair anything. And on this side I've just got my batteries and battery bank to recharge phone and camera and drone and things like that, and a couple of cables in there for charging those devices as well. And yeah, that's about it in there, but that bag just keeps it all nice and compact, makes it easy to get to in my backpack. Now, I do apologise, my audio stopped recording here for some reason, but I also do carry with me a PLB. Now what this does is this communicates via satellite. This can send your GPS signal if you run into any trouble to the authorities, and they'll send help immediately. They're not cheap, they're a few $100s, but it's well worth it. I also carry with me a small lightweight first aid kit, just for some basic injury. And that's about it. So yeah, from humble beginnings, I've grown into a far more capable setup, but yeah, you don't need that to start with. You can start with this, get yourself out there and experiencing the great outdoors, just on a cheap budget. At least you're getting started, and then as you progress, you evolve and you add things, you take things away, and I think I haven't finished evolving yet. There'll be more additions and subtractions to come soon. Hopefully this has helped you a little bit, given you a few ideas, maybe inspired you to get started and get out there. But if you like what I'm producing, hit like, hit subscribe if you haven't done so already, leave me a comment. Anyway, and until next time, get out beyond your backyard.